What's up guys, James here, and welcome back to another episode of the Google Maps Anomalies series. In today's video, I'm taking a look at an island in a lake, on an island, in a lake, on an island. No, you didn't mishear me. Today I'm talking about an island in a lake, on an island, in a lake, on an island. And it might actually go deeper than that. It turns out there's quite a few of these in the world. Now, unlike some of my previous entries in this series, there's nothing too weird about this because it's just a natural phenomenon, and it's not anything man-made or creepy, but it's still something cool I thought I'd make a video on. In fact, isn't it pretty funny that I originally intended for this series to be kind of strange and creepy and mysterious, but in fact, most of this stuff is just silly and humorous. The oddest thing I've covered so far is the Lysakovsk pentagram, which is really just a Soviet-era park. Okay, so what really are these islands? Well, as I've said countless times now, there really are islands in lakes on islands in lakes on islands. For the sake of all of you watching, I'm going to avoid saying that whole mess, and instead I'll just call these recursive islands and lakes. These are islands or lakes that form within other islands or lakes. Recursive islands are usually just referred to as lake islands. The largest lake island in the world is Manitoulin Island in Lake Huron in Ontario, which actually has a population of over 13,000 people. Lake islands are not uncommon at all, and I'm sure many of you have been to lakes yourselves that have islands within them. Maybe you've even been on a lake island. On the other hand, lakes can also form within islands. Continents themselves are really just big islands, and lakes are a pretty common thing. So these are all just pretty mundane geographical features. Sometimes, however, recursive lakes and islands can be taken to the extreme. Let's take a look at some specific examples. Remember how earlier I mentioned Manitoulin Island, the largest lake island in the world? Well, Manitoulin Island is so big that it itself even has smaller lakes within it. The largest of these is Lake Manitou. And Lake Manitou is big enough to have islands within it that people actually live on, like Roper Island and Bear Island. This makes these islands in a lake on an island in a lake. But then Lake Huron is within North America, so it kind of just stops right there. Well, we can actually go deeper than this, because what happens when we put that last outer lake on another island? Probably the most well-known example of this is the Vulcan Point. Vulcan Point Island is a recursive island located within a crater lake on top of the Taal volcano. The Taal volcano is an active volcano within Taal Lake, which it itself is located on the island of Luzon in the Philippines. This makes it an island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island. Though when I break it down like that, it does become a bit less confusing. At this point in time, I'm not actually sure if Vulcan Point Island still exists, so it might have lost its crown. But even so, although it's one of the most well-known examples, it's not the largest. That title goes to an unnamed island within an unnamed lake on an unnamed island, which is within Nettling Lake on Baffin Island in Nunavut in Canada. I know, confusing, right? This recursive island is actually around 40,000 square meters in area, or 40 square kilometers, so that's actually pretty large. But Baffin Island is the world's 5th largest island, which is why these recursive islands easily exist within it. Oh yeah, and post-editing James here, while it's not the biggest, I found a more extreme example of an island in a lake on an island in a lake on an island in a lake, which would actually make this the only one of that kind on the entire planet. It's unnamed and it's kind of just in the middle of nowhere in Canada, but I still thought I'd mention it here. It's honestly so interesting to me, just some of the natural phenomenon that's happened to form on this earth. And I think we can take a second to appreciate the beauty in some of this planet's natural landforms. There's nothing super outlandish about recursive islands and lakes, but I thought I'd still get them under my roster of Google Maps Anomalies videos. Who knows, maybe one day in the far future I'll even visit one of these places myself. Maybe I'll see up close a Google Map anomaly. Until then, I'll just keep making videos on them. For everyone who's still watching, thank you. I recently hit 2,000 subscribers, and I couldn't be more grateful for all the support you guys have given me. The channel is growing at a really fast rate, and I'm super appreciative of it. Stay tuned for some of the videos I have coming up in the future, and I'll see you on the next one.